Hello everybody, welcome back to Squire's Duty. I'm tired, and that's because it was LGT weekend. So, we have a new book, guys. It's out, it's ready, and it was in use at the LGT, the London Grand Tournament. So, what we're going to be doing in today's video, I will be going through what is the LGT if you are unaware. I'll go over my list, some of the thoughts and reasons why I took what I did. I'll run through the 5 games that I had at this event and some of the future thoughts and ideas I have from my games, how I might adjust my list, going into some events that I have coming up in the next few weeks and months. So, if you're unaware, what is the LGT? The London Grand Tournament is the flagship UK tournament circuit event. This was a huge one. It's the end of their season, and there was over 1,000 players at this event who played in round 1. They run through the UKTC mission packs, missions 1 through 5, as you can find on their events page. And at the end of that, everyone in that event who is 5-0 plays on to see who will win the biggest event in the world. And at the end of it, the winner will have gone 10 games and won all of them in a row. It's an incredible achievement. But even if like the 1,000 people that aren't going to win it, or even the 1,000 that aren't even going to get to go through to the top cuts, it's just an incredible event. It's held down in London. It's a great chance to catch up with everybody that you know on the event circuit, and that's why I went. I was there. I wanted to compete and try and do well, but I also wanted to see everybody there that I knew from various events throughout over the last few years. So, what did I take to the LGT? Knights, obviously, but I went for the Valor Strike Lance here. Part of this reasoning was that there are some very open and long sight lines on the UKTC boards, and the speed that Valor Strike would give me with the assault weaponry, alongside some potential difficulties getting, say, melee knights to work, meant that I just wanted to go in with guns. So I put Canis down as my warlord. His CP ability is really useful, and despite the reduction in offensive firepower that he had, I think that he plays really well, uses a lot of these strats in Valor Strike very well, and is just a really good kind of mixed knight. His melee is incredible still, probably the best in the codex, and the ranged weapon is still a scary proposition for enemies. To go with Canis and the idea of fast gun good, I picked a Crusader. I had the battle cannon, I had the kind of Gatling gun, and this is just so much firepower in a single chassis, and I'm sure that it would do really well, get so much value from that 36-inch good threat range. I had the points here to hand it the Evanescent Ion enhancement, which would allow me to hand stealth out to another knight within 12 at the end of the movement phase. This is just a little defensive buff for not too many points that could really kind of help in, say, the kind of gunline matchups to just keep a knight alive. Now, the plan here was to pair the Crusader with the Warden. This guy is just really useful for tearing out that marine-style body. That Gatling gun gains dev wounds against anything that is not vehicle monster, and for this I paired it with an unusual choice, which is the autocannon, because of that anti-fly 2-up twin-linked, just enabling me to take on kind of jump marines or any kind of small flying targets. The big thing I wanted was the third big knight, though, was for the Judicant's Helm enhancement, which hands out ignores cover. This was to go on the Crusader as often as I could get it, to really bump up and get past that AP problem that the battle cannon has. The Warden as well has a melee profile that I felt could definitely come in useful, in that it gave me something to go push out to shoot one target, charge another onto an objective, and clear both. Now, the rest of the list was kind of to support this. I had 2 Helverins, both of whom take the Crusader buff or the Warden Bondsman really well, and there was a Warglaive. This was a unit that I wasn't too sure about. I didn't I wasn't certain how well the melter would do or whether the melee would be effective. I did want something that could, say, take out a light vehicle, and that I was quite happy to push forward to an objective and not just get tagged up. Now, there's something else here is that I had the Calidus for mission play, but a lot of that was more for the up-down vect that it has. A lot of people struggle to clear a knight chassis out without using some kind of stratagem. If I can believe their stratagems and their CP, that only helps me survive for longer, allows my opponent to do less tricks. And something that I think should be in most lists, to be honest, is the Sisters with an immolator. This gives you sticky objective at home and a unit that you really don't mind just leaving there instead of, say, a full 140 point armature chassis. And the other 5 can go in the immolator to put an ignores cover out, to again be 10 OC to throw on a point, and have a selection of real weaponry. I put mine with all the melter weapons to kind of really threaten somebody who wants to get a bit closer, but that didn't, say, need a full knight to go out and deal with it. So, let's go to the event. And I start my event at round 1 with Sweeping Engagement Terraform against Sam Neill and his Necron Awakened Dynasty list. This is a matchup that really can go either way, particularly on Terraform, where you want to be holding the middle, doing actions, and he had the double Wraith Brick, he had Orokin and Warriors, and the 2 Doomsday Arcs and the Void Dragon were scary for me to have to deal with. I didn't have too much anti-tank in my list. That was a choice I made, thinking that I would be going more against, say, like the Wraith and the Space Marines type bodies, so that I was light on trying to, something like a Catan would take maybe 2 whole knights shooting and melee to deal with. And of course, the Void Dragon is very effective at picking up a big knight. The Warriors and the Wraiths can hold 2 or all 3 objectives between them. So, how did the game go? I think I got the first turn here. I was able to get just about a little bit of line from the Crusader into the Wraiths, whilst remaining held back a bit. I went forwards and with one of the Helverins to kind of start holding primary. And overall, it ended up being a 99-86 victory, where I was able to chew through the 2 Wraith units. I got down one of the Doomsday Arcs and kind of just played keep away from the center objective. I let him have it. He put a Warrior on there, he put the Scarabs there. So there was no stage that I was going to be able to hold the center objective, survive the Void Dragon stood next to the Warriors, or take out the Warriors in that single hit required with the stealth enhancement from a Royal Warden, and not just lose something in return. And it worked out for me. I couldn't push much of a differential in here, but I was able to score the secondaries better and just about hold the primary on kind of both flanks before the Warriors came forwards. And that really, I think, is where the game was won, where Sam didn't get aggressive enough with the Warriors. He didn't shove them at me at the same time as the Wraiths came out. So this kind of allowed me just to pick off each one at a time, and that way I was able to push through and not lose that many units. So, after a round 1 victory, we go into round 2, which is Crucible Battle and Purge the Foe against another army that, as a player, I don't enjoy, the World Eaters, the Berserker Warband, the highly aggressive melee list that I struggle with, and Imperial Knights can also struggle with. We have nothing to defend us in melee, and this list was pretty close to kind of the typical Berserker Warband list. It had the Khan with the 10 in the Rhino, there was the Juggernaut Lord with the 20 Warriors, the 2 Spawn, the 2 Exalted, one of them with a Slaughterbound, and the choice that Jacob had made was to have a Demon Prince on foot and just a single Forge Fiend, which he started in reserves. Now again, this was another game where I don't think that I can touch that center objective just at any stage until I have dealt with most of his army. Any one of those units will put a real number into any knight and probably just kill it. So to this end, I actually went extremely hard down my left flank and gave Jacob the hold more in exchange for just trying to kill his army and come back to the game later, which thankfully for me was how it went. I was able to use the sheer speed of the list to push hard on the left flank and get the line into that big central staging L, get through a good chunk of the warriors, not the warriors, not this game. This game was the berserkers, the 20-man, hiding in that ruin, ready to spring out at any opportunity. And if I let him do that, he could just go take my home field at the same time as clearing out the center. So pushing around the flanks allowed me to kill more and eventually gain a hold. Luckily here, having killed 11 of the warriors, they failed their battle shock test, which meant that they were unable to really use the advanced charge and just kind of were able to be cleaned up the following turn. So for me, it ended up again, not the biggest victory, but one that come the end of kind of the fourth battle round, was going to be secure. So that left me 2-0 into what often in these events is a crucial game, which is the third round. And for us, that was a search and destroy. We were playing hidden supplies, and I was against Andy White and his Beast Slayer Space Wolves. Now, at the last event I had gone to, the 6++ GT, Paul James had shown me just how damaging even the remnants of a Beast Slayer army can be. And this list from Andy was in a similar vein to it. You had Ayak and the 5 Wolfguard Terminators, who are a annoying little unit. Ayak puts a lot of damage out, and they're tough to shift. Bjorn and Logan give you a lot of CP economy and a possibility of an early game arrival from reserves. Ragnar was with 6 of the new Head Taker models, which is a terrifying unit. He had his 10 Bloodclaws with a battle leader, and there were a 6 and a 3-man Thunderwolf cavalry, and 10 Wolfen in a big squad. Now, 3 or 4 of these units can take a huge chunk or destroy a knight in a single hit, with a Repulsor Executioner standing at the back of the table with Ragnar in it to disgorge a super fast damaging unit and also keep me honest in the shootout. If that Repulsor Executioner, if the damage goes through, it's scary. It can take a huge chunk out a knight, so that even a small unit can then shift the half knight that's left, or it can just take out a whole armiger. Now, for me, I had the same idea here as I did against the World Eaters. I would try and stay away from the center of the table and push both flanks. So the Crusader went up my left flank and towards the side objective, whilst the other 2 knights stayed in the middle, ready, waiting to receive a charge and push to the other flank, with Canis to respond as needed. So Andy went aggressive round 1. He sent his battle leader and the Bloodclaws in to try deal with Canis, which I heroicked then with the Warden. And this was the game where having that chainsword on the Warden meant that I was just then guaranteed to get the whole unit when Canis was alive and the chainsword went through. So I was able to clear a unit that could do a lot of damage for free. But that's when the problems started. I got a good line with the Crusader in round 2. Down the flank, I'd put the 2 Helverins with it up there to see the Wolfenbrick to really clear something harsh. The Thunderwolf Cav rapid ingress on the other flank, and the Wolfguard Terminators and the other 3 Thundercav were ready waiting for me. So the Warden and Canis went down there to deal with them alongside the Sisters and the Immolator, and just everything went wrong. I put enough damage in to sink probably all of those units except the 6-man, and I just killed nothing. I got only 4 of the Wolfen. The Thunderwolf only lost 1 model, and the Terminators didn't even lose a single model. That was a kicker. I here hadn't got myself a plan B for what if just nothing substantial died. What do I do if I go out to do the damage that I anticipate and I don't do it? And that ended up costing me the game here. I was unable to then, instead of pushing through to his home objective and securing my left flank whilst jockeying for the right flank and leaving the centre free. Instead, my flank collapsed and I was on a rearguard trying instead just to hold my home objective. My primary for this game was just 4 holds of my home field. That's all I got. And of course, because I don't have control of, neither of us had control of the mid ground until late in the game, the secondary scoring was down. But Andy was able to use that kind of ability to have more units left at the end of the game to score enough secondaries, and with the bottom of turn and most of an army left, get 30 primary in 2 turns. So we end the day with 2 wins and a loss. It's alright, I'm happy enough with it. If there was an out that I could have had that 3rd win and be 3-0, but no harm done. These dice happen, I'm not blaming the dice. But we go to the day 2. And it's round 4. It's Crucible Battle Linchpin, and it's Josh Nevins with his AdMech. Now, I had gone to an event run by our very own Josh Scrivens, kind of running through a few of these, and had played Harley with his Adeptus Mechanicus. And I knew that they could do a number on knights. They have a lot of units. Each of these units can do a lot of damage, and the ranged firepower is significant on relatively tough chassis. Now, Josh had a unit that Harley had been very much looking at, which is the Manipulus with the 6 destroyers. But he also had the Call, as expected. He had Breaches, he had a Dune Crawler, he had the 2 of the Ballistariae and the Disintegrator, and these are really scary ranged output pieces. Like, any 2 of those could easily take out a whole knight. And that's before we add in something. That Dune Crawler's neutron laser just could do it in 1 shot. The Ballistariae with Inhalo Screed with Call's Oath and the Twin Linked, again, could get 6 or 7 hits and take a knight out instantly. What you also get in AdMech is a lot of little game pieces to play. So he had 2x5 Infiltrators, 5 Rust Stalkers, 5 Sky Stalkers, 5 Sterilizers, and 3 Battle Line units alongside a couple of Servitor Battleclades. He significantly had more units than I did to play missions, to put out onto primary, and to really force me to use my big knights. So how did the game go down? Well, I was relatively cagey again. I didn't really push early for that center objective. In this kind of turn 1, I made sure I had a secure left flank here, and used Canis to kind of go to the right flank to just kind of go back and forth, try see if I can clear it out whilst waiting for his reserves to turn up. In the kind of, I think it was round 3 here, I had an opportunity where he had brought his breaches up, they were waiting to pounce, but it was close enough that if I used the go faster stratagem with the Warden, and also sent the Warglaive in, I could probably deal, alongside the Crusader, a big damage to that Breacher unit, the Destroyer unit, which would really enable me to put the pressure on him behind the central line of the table. Now, unfortunately for me, the Warden failed a 5-inch charge with a reroll into it, and the Crusader had only picked up a couple with the shooting. Now, the Warden failing the charge meant that I didn't even manage to get the Warglaive in, because my path through required that charge to clear the space for the Warglaive. Now, that cost me almost the game, I believe, there. Like, the Warden would go down, and the Crusader took a huge chunk of damage from the reserve fireback. But thankfully for me, I was able to kind of jockey and hold the right flank, and at the late game, I was able to get the right secondaries to kind of push the kind of relatively close primary at that stage to secure it, and then take out Call for the round 5. That was the same turn that I'd drawn Bring It Down and Assassinate, and that just little bit was enough to see me through. It was a close game, but one that I've just squeezed through to hit the 3-1. And so we go to round 5, which will be a difficult match again, and arguably one of the matchups that I just did not want to face at all in the new Raven Guard Shadow Mark, with a huge amount of ranged firepower. So we're playing Search and Destroy Table Quarters. It's taken hold, and I have drawn Owen Baker from the Friendly Fire team, who has just so much gun, and all of it can come in from the sides of the table, and if I let him, he picks up all 3 big knights in a turn, I think, between Shrike and the 10 Vanvets with Low Knot and a Rapid Ingress with all the Inferno pistols, lethals in melee. He's got the 6 Dev Sense who just pick if I touch an objective, there's potential for them to pick up 2 knights or a big knight and a kind of armiger. There's 15 Inceptors here who, with that 6-inch deep strike, make it really difficult for me to even just hold my home objective. I have to be very careful using the Calidus, using the Sisters and kind of the Immolator to just screen out where he can turn up. And here I'm almost waiting for Owen to make a mistake and just boxing myself in, accepting that I probably can't score a lot of primary and I need to try take out his primary where I can. But unfortunately for me, he's got so many little units that with Shrike in the list, the JPIs are OC2, so I can't quite just deny them with a Warglaive or something. He's got he's got reactive move lieutenant and the strap for a reactive move, so it even becomes difficult to go clear him off the central objective because I don't trade units at this stage. He just moves himself behind the wall and can clear out whichever units I put down, and I don't have enough of those chaff pieces to keep going like that. So how does the game go? Well, I kind of box myself in, I wait, we do the little trades in the center with the units that I have, I try deny primary on his right flank, and come round 3, it's time for me to go, so I push the Warden out from his little ruin on the left flank to take the objective, and Canis goes, the Dev Sense have come down to pick up an armiger that was on his expansion objective, and again it just goes slightly wrong. The armiger on the left flank moves forward and then dies to the Overwatch from those Centurions after Canis has only killed 2 of them with his ranged guns. Whilst that can happen, that is annoying for me in that it allows Shrike to get right up close to that Warden, Owen can bring his Inceptors down and absolutely collapse my left flank and start pressuring the center and my home field, whilst I just don't quite have enough of a hold on that right flank objective to get more than to get that primary enough beyond having bottom of turn. So while secondaries are equal, I can score the secondaries. Josh is able to hold 2 every single turn, whilst I hold 1 other than the bottom of round 5. And so that's the game. Unfortunately, I end up with Canis pressuring his home field. The Crusader is still around because I've been so defensive. But because of that, I've not really made a hammer blow. There's an argument definitely that says that I could have just seen what happened if I rushed him. Or if I just pushed out really early turn 2 and tried to just and almost gave up my home field in a way. If I just tried to stand on the center, hold the primary, is that a different game? Maybe. But for me, that definitely had the risk of just losing all knights in a single hammer blow. And that means it'd be a blowout. So I was waiting to see whether I could capitalize on a mistake, which credit to Owen, he didn't make. And it's a matchup that I think is difficult, but even more so if Games Workshop decide to give them the Oath +1 to wound. That is maybe coming, we don't know. So, but that's it. That's my event over. I have not gone undefeated, and I get to go home on the Sunday instead of playing all the way through Monday. So, what do I think? Overall, I finished just outside the top 300, which for me, I am very happy with that. It's a strong showing. I've got some good scores with the Knights, and I'm definitely learning now how to use this army, having come from playing Guard and Orcs, where I have all of those chaff pieces, to having these much fewer but much more kind of lethal activations. I'm doing all right. I think I chose the correct detachment overall. I think I was very happy to be playing the Valor Strike with the speed, And the only other consideration there might have been for the armature-based attachment to kind of really play lots of more units, but I wanted to run more big boys. One of the things that I was surprised about, though, was I've been down on the Warglaive, but actually I found it really useful. The Melter just being able to pick up a light tank, clear a Rhino out with it's probably about 50-60% chance in my head. That ability to just take it out to allow me to hammer blow what's inside at the same time was really useful. The melee, being able to go charge something and kill a good chunk to flip points, I quite liked it. However, one of the melee pieces that really I didn't enjoy was the Warden. The Bondsman ability was very useful for the Helverins. The Warglaives definitely got use out of rerolling a hit into a 6, but I didn't use the melee, and I don't think I needed that kind of Gatling gun, the second one. So what do I change? I think I keep the same core of the list. I think going forward, I get a Defender in for the Warden and drop the enhancement off of the Crusader. That gives me a bit more anti-tank firepower. It gives me just better strength AP damage elsewhere, and I don't think I needed the melee at any stage. I was fast enough. I had enough other pieces to clear off enemy melee pieces, and particularly with the Thunderstrike stratagem, I could slowly work my way out of combat. So, and then the difference, I think, between having an armature just wandering around with an offensive buff that it was never going to use. People are good at hiding nowadays. You can't just go find an angle on these boards. So I'd have an armature with an offensive buff on objective where actually a -1 damage would really cause maybe an overcommitment or even just leave the armature alive. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And that means for the next event, which is the Saffron teams, I will be practicing that list out. But at the same time, I will be investigating, I'll be having a look at the other detachments and seeing maybe is it more useful to run something else. I'll have a look at the Questoris Companions. I'll have a look at the Armature detachment. I think there the Warden potentially shines with handing out so many armatures for the sustained ignores cover. And of course, the Defender there is incredibly powerful. But that's it from me. Did you go to the LGT? Let us know. If you've liked our content, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to get involved even more, we have a very active Discord. And if you are able to support us financially, we have a YouTube members section as well. But that's been it from me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.